Well, it may seem like the Washington legislative session just started, but we've already arrived at the first major deadline for lawmakers. So which bills are good to go? Which ones are on the chopping block? Joining us to break it down is Reuven Carlyle. He spent 14 years in state government as a representative and a senator. We're always glad to have you here on a Friday.
Thank you.
Because so much happens during the week.
It does.
Okay, so today, we've been talking about this for weeks now, but today is the day. It's the first big deadline. So what can you tell us what bills are doing okay?
Yeah, well, keep in mind that there's about 2,000 to 3,000 bills a year, and only about 10% of them make it through the whole process to the governor. A couple of housing bills, Senator Jessica Bateman of Olympia has been lead on that. One would provide a 7% cap on rents. Per year, and you have to provide a 6-month notice if you're going to raise the rents.
Which would be great for renters.
Great for renters, you know, challenge for landlords, according to some of them.
True.
Secondly, a bill that requires that cities can't require more than one parking spot per construction. So that cuts down on the cost and the time associated with developing housing. You know, a really controversial bill, Senator Javier Valdez of Seattle, very controversial, that would basically require paid signature gatherers to verify that the person signing it is sort of legitimate. So a lot of opposition. Brian Haywood, who sponsored 7 initiatives last year, very opposed to that, the Republicans, and also Secretary of State Steve Hobbs, a Democrat, has been really concerned about that. But that bill's moving forward as well.
Yeah, we reported on Steve Hobbs' opposition earlier this week.
Yeah.
So what are some of the primary bills that you're following that are at risk or not moving forward?
Yeah, there's an interesting bill that Governor Bob Ferguson has prioritized around free meals for students. About 70% of kids today in our school system do get free lunches. This would provide for the remaining 30%, but it's about $110 million a year. So that's sort of struggling, and Senator Lisa Wellman, the chair of the Education Committee, is very interested in special education and some of the other costs before that. So it might show up in the budget, but the bill itself is struggling a little bit.
And then let's talk about the budget and the deficit, which is obviously top of mind. Do you see any place where there might be some bipartisan support?
You know, there is, interestingly, a bill from Senator Jamie Peterson and Senator John Braun. So the Democratic leader and the Republican leader have come together on the issue of special education. And they're moving forward with legislation that could result in more than $2 billion of additional funding for special education, which is really hurting 295 school districts. So that's an example of some progress.
What about some tax cuts or some spending cuts? Is there any bipartisan agreement on any of that?
Yeah, not really. We are seeing a lot of tension around that, exactly. So I think people are used to the tension around this issue. But this coming week, we do expect Governor Ferguson to release a budget, which will show the impact of probably a cuts-only budget, what it would seem like. And then all of a sudden, the tax conversation gets real serious. And they're looking at issues like a wealth tax and business and occupation tax, a whole bunch of other categories. But I think it's going to get really serious this coming week as it relates to figuring out that balance between cuts and spending.
And in light of the huge budget deficit, it will be interesting to see what it is he lays out for the budget.
That's right. And this is his first time as governor presenting a budget.
I know he's been thinking about it for a long time as well. Thank you, Reuven Carlyle. It's always great to have you here every Friday, breaking down what's happening though in the week, which is so much that's going on just here at home. Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate it.